Hello everybody, this is Freeman Hyzer, the Hyzer Company LLC. I'm just putting together a quick little tutorial for people that if you're interested in developing for video games, and for those specifically of my faith, yes faith, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we have a game and app competition coming up, and I wanted to put together a tutorial series as I built my game. I wanted to submit to that, and I wanted to show people how you can do it, how you can start getting into it. And this specific tutorial is going to go into required software to go through this tutorial system. I'm going to start first by covering a little bit about the purpose, why we're doing this. I'm putting this together so that I can help other church members find a way to get started, because it can be overwhelming. A lot of things to learn, there's a lot of things to do, and it can take a lot of time. So having somebody that's been there to give this resource is very helpful. Because if you go out there and you try to find this on your own, I had to do a lot of digging, a lot of research into it. It took a lot of time, but I hope that other people can do this and find it a lot easier. Tutorials are able to put it in a way and in a sense that it's clear, easy to get into, and it's exciting. It should be, and be able to create very good product for. So also this specific tutorial will go through all those different links for free. So the first one I'm going to start with is Unity. It's a free game engine. If you make less than $100,000 a year as a company or as an individual, get this for free. You can download it from Unity. Got some limitations on the free version, but for the most part, somebody starting out, it's more than sufficient, and you can make some games with that. So it does both 2D and 3D games. The game we're going to be making, well, I'm going to be making for everybody, game. Then the next thing we're going to do, so you're going to want to download GIMP 2 and Inkscape. If you have Photoshop, you can use that as well, but when I get into the GIMP and Photoshop tutorials, you'll have to, or the GIMP and Inkscape tutorial, you're probably going to have to go figure that out through your own Photoshop programs. So, but GIMP and Inkscape are both free for commercial and personal. Anything you make with that, you can use it how you want. Your artwork is your own, so it's important to remember that if you're using Photoshop, there is some stipulation in terms and conditions with that, because that is a paid program, commercial purpose. You need to look in terms and conditions. So a few things to be aware of is this: what programs you're using, how you're using are important. Next thing is the 3D modeling. I use Blender, and you can get that for free. Blender is a great tool. If you learn how to use it, you can make a very beautiful image, very good modeling, comparable to some of the other like Maya and 3D Max software. It is open source and free, so it does have its limitations, where the other ones do have active staff working on those, a lot more. Those games a lot more powerful, but for completely free software, the type of capabilities that it brings, very, very beneficial. Great that we have that tool. Now it takes a little bit of learning, but once you learn what you're doing in there, and we'll have more tutorials on how to use that coming up. Alright, and the next thing we're going to go into, different sound software. Move on to the Audacity. That's a voice recording software. You can use that for your games. And then LMMS is a sound production, so you can use MIDI devices and record what you play on those right into your computer, and you can manipulate the sounds. We'll do more with those on the next tutorials. Then there's other links as well. You're going to want to have some sort of cloud base where you can save your projects to. That way other people can get to them if they're helping you with your projects. That's important. You can use any type of cloud system, whether Drive. I use Copy. You got quite a bit of memory there for free. Get more as you help share it. And you can also use OBS, which is what I'm using right now, which is a screen capture software, so that you can help share your game in the way. Alright, so my hardware, this is the basics of it. You don't have to have this. The one thing you want to keep in mind is your video card. You just want to make sure whatever software you get can meet the requirements of the software. current. So I recommend start to download other systems like Unity and Blender. You see what the current requirements are with those. These work fine for me. I haven't had a lot of problems with them. It'd be great if I had more powerful graphic cards, but these two cards work pretty well. One thing to keep in mind with Blender and graphics cards is that it uses CUDA, and that's a type of software language that it uses. It's a different type of computing than what Raytheon uses. So when you buy a graphics card, make sure you buy a CUDA one, so that, or NVIDIA is the one that's for it. So the GT or GTX series cards, they work best with Blender. So just remember that as you're out there looking. If you're looking on what to buy, anything that's a GTX will probably work well. But again, according to the time that you're doing it, you'll probably want to do. Just be careful when you buy your graphics card, and just make sure you get one that works well with what you're trying. Alright, then with tutorials, I recommend that you go ahead and build your first game. You can do that by clicking on this tutorial here with the 3d.com, and I'll have the links there if you need them. My actual blog spot, which is by the Hyzer Company. You can go out there and find all these tutorials, or all these links, tutorials and items as well. I recommend you go there if you actually need these links, but it's just the Unity 3D tutorials. You want to do the rollerball, you can Google that and it'll come right up to. Just go through that. It's about something that you do, and you do those step by step, and then you'll have a little ball rolling around on the screen. So you can start seeing that you can do this, that you're capable of making products. And then also, if you're new to scripting, I recommend you go through the scripting tutorials, and not expected to learn all these at first, and we're going to go through them as well. So just keep an eye out for that. Alright, so a few things I'm going to go through with this video tutorial. I'm just going to do an outline, pretty much give you an example of how to set up your game outline. Think about as you're making that, what type of questions to ask yourself. We're also going to go into your scene and character setup. This is very important that you write everything out before you get started in your project, so you don't start adding in other things, subtracting, and making things that you don't need to make prior to, because you can waste a lot of effort and time making something and then figuring out that you're never going to use it in that scene. So you really want to be specific in what you do in the message that you're trying to share and the people you're trying to teach. The next thing we're going to go into is modeling. Start by doing an asset analysis off of your documentation. What type of assets you actually need, what type of market range you're looking at, like what type of systems you're looking at, what type of people. All those go into what type of assets you need. Then we'll go into modeling the extra assets that you actually have. So character modeling, building modeling, foliage modeling, all those. Then we'll go into your texturing. You have your seamless textures, which are those that can loop forever. And we'll learn more about those as we get into the texturing tutorials. Then you'll have your UV unwrapping. I'll teach you how to unwrap a character, make it nice and flat, and then be able to add the textures to it and paint on it and bake it as well. So try to bake the textures and the different bumps and shadows and things to an actual game object, so that you don't have to worry about those being processed by the computer. It's very important. Baking is important. It's important to learn how to use that. We're also going to go into texture painting, used to color the individuals. We're going to go into animations as well. And within your animations, you have your armatures, which is your bone structure, if you can think about it that way. And then how to actually connect your character to the bones, which is called rigging. How to do that as well. Then we have key shapes. And key shapes are mostly used for facial animations. And we'll show you how to use those and import them into Unity and use those in Unity. And then we're also going to go into the scripting within Unity. So you how to do your GUI setup with your windows and your pop-ups and your menus, and how to navigate between the different levels. We're also going to do in the scene setup. We're going to show you how to use that. Also audio, we'll probably expand that out a little bit more with the scene setup to show you how to set up the audio and use all the software there. And we'll set up a test scene so that you can actually test your different scripts as you make them, without having to be stuck within one specific scene or have to go through 20 levels before you can make level 21 that you have to test. So it's important that you have a good test scene where you can get access to all the different scripts. You also want to have a good player movement script. We'll go into that. We're also going to do enemy and other person movements. Those we're going to work with projectiles and any other type of scripts that we kind of come across. So this one's going to get expanded a little on. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and move into publishing on Android, Apple, and Windows. That's the tutorial. I hope you guys like it. Look forward to doing more with you. Have a great